the problem is that people they don't lack access. They lack the knowledge about the access that they do have already, right? That's the problem. The knowledge is what they're lacking, not the access. I mean, right now, you can go online and see every single federal contract opportunity that is available to you.
What's up, y'all? Get ready to break it down and level up. Welcome to Doing Numbers, your #1 financial literacy podcast in the world. Clap it up. I'm your host, Olu.
And I'm your host, Scott.
So bring your pen and pad because it's about to get real.
That's right.
What's going on, Scott?
Another day in paradise, Jack.
How are you today?
I feel a little adventurous today, man. I feel like putting on pants that's too big for me today.
Really?
Taking a risk, yeah.
Okay.
You know
Taking a big risk?
Taking a big risk.
I like that. I like the sound of that. I think I'm on the same wave as you. I'm excited about today.
Are you?
Yeah, I am. You can hear it in my voice.
A little bit. You got a little inward inflection in there.
You know what I mean?
You've been practicing?
I have.
Your oratory skills?
I have.
I like
because
that.
I've been waiting to get this particular guest on for a long time. I would say a long time, even though it hasn't been.
You're a little impatient, though.
A little bit. But I think it's the perfect timing to have her on. So we got the president and CEO of Fillmore Contracts herself.
Dope.
President and CEO, especially with Women's History coming up here. Man, it's an exciting time for us.
What a time.
So without further ado, I want to introduce Kimberly Kidd, who has mastered the art of winning federal contracts, securing projects across 21 states, and partnering with over 200 vetted trade contractors. With more than 25 years of industry experience, she has driven Fillmore Contracts to over $4.5 million. Let me run that back again. $4.5 million in federal contracts in just under 5 years in business, excelling in project delivery, organizational design, revenue growth, and process and optimization. In her mentorship program, Kimberly will share her proven strategies, insider knowledge, and step-by-step methods that have positioned her at the top of the federal contracting game. As a PMP certified expert, Kimberly specializes in navigating federal compliance, project management, and contract negotiations, key skills you will gain to elevate in your business. Whether you're new to federal space or looking to scale your current operations, Kimberly's mentorship provides personalized guidance and actionable insights designed to accelerate your success. Her mission, to empower women and minorities in the industry, equipping you with the tools and knowledge to secure your place in federal marketplaces. Without further ado, everybody, I'd like to introduce you to Kimberly Kidd.
Yes. Welcome to the show.
Oh, well, it's a pleasure to be here. It's a pleasure to be here.
Thank you for your time.
Anytime I can do. Anything I can do to help.
Yes.
Anything I can do to help.
Well, we definitely appreciate you, and we know how busy you are, and we want to dive right into it. So how does that sound?
Oh, that sounds great. Great for me.
So we got a bit of your accolades as far as your professional work, but if you can help our audience understand who Kimberly Kidd is as a person, could you share a little bit of that with us?
Yes, absolutely. I am a mom of 3 under the age of 8. So that is 8, 5, and 2. I am a full-time mom. So yes, I do this with my 3 children. I also have a lot of things on the side that I like to do, such as paint. I have activities with my children. I've also gotten into a little bit of physical fitness, self-defense to be exact. I just feel like in this industry is very important since I am in the construction space and there's not a lot of people that look and sound like me. And there's times where I'm always, out in the field. So self-defense is very important. So I've taken on that as well. But yeah, outside of the work, which consumes a lot of my time, to be honest, outside of that and my children and my physical fitness, there's really nothing else I can do. I mean, I have the same 24 hours in my day as everyone else.
Right.
So that's me.
Not only is she kicking butt in the federal space, y'all, she kicking butt off of it, too. So don't mess with her.
On and off camera.
Don't mess with her. That's what I got from that. So, Kimberly, can you tell us where you're from? Are you from Atlanta, Georgia, or?
Well, actually, no. I'm from New York.
Okay.
I don't know if you can hear it in my accent. Some people can. Even though I've been in Georgia now since about 2008. But yeah, I'm born and raised Bushwick and raised out in Southside Jamaica, Queens. Yeah, so I'm not from this area of the woods here. I'm actually from the hood, if you might want to say that.
Yeah. For sure.
So yeah, it's been a long time coming for me. I didn't start off where I'm at now, which made it even more of a hustle for me to be where I'm at now.
And that's what I was going to ask. You know, being from the hood, not necessarily being as affluent as you are now. What were some of those obstacles for you, especially being a Black woman?
Oh, it was very difficult, especially since when I first came to Atlanta, I was still very much New York hood. I mean, when it came to even what my slang, needing to make sure I changed my attitude towards people. As you know, Southern hospitality is really Southern hospitality. You don't really get that in New York.
Right.
So I had to change that up coming here, as well as when it came to working with people and trying to be in the business space. It was very difficult. Not everybody took me right away, especially anybody that was like in a leadership position. I had to really learn to be humble and back down the further I went up in the industry.
It's beautiful. You got anything, Scott?
No, keep going. You go.
So, how did you get into the space, or was government contracting like your first love? Was it the first step you got into before, getting into your financial space, or were you in the real estate and then kind of gravitated over to there? How did you start?
Well, I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't know if it's mostly New Yorkers. Like, listen, I've had 5 or 6 jobs at a time, all the time. Like,
Right.
I mean, money is my motivator. Money has always been my motivator. I have no passion other than to get money, right? So when it comes to that means that I'm not a specialist, which is key in this industry.
Sure.
I'm more of an entrepreneur. So with that being said, I've always had that entrepreneur mindset, no matter who I worked for. So if I worked for an employer, that was what I did, base. However, I've always had other jobs on the side. Coming into the federal contracting space, for me, was more of a stumble. It was another opportunity for me to have something else outside of my day job. I realized then that it was very difficult for me to just jump from my day job and quit and just run right into federal contracting or anything without really fully understanding it. The thing is with me, with federal contracting, as soon as I got into it, I realized that, man, this is a lucrative thing. And if this movie, War Dogs, is real, then, oh, Lord, I got to get into this. I'm like, I don't want to sell guns, but I mean, I got to sell something to the government. So I started learning about it, learning more about how the government buys, which is important. That is important. Understanding how they buy. Once you master how they buy, then everything else start to start to fall in place. So after I got my first contract, which was a $400,000 job to replace HVAC units without me having any HVAC knowledge, that right there showed me that if I apply how the government buys with my entrepreneur mindset, then I can be successful. And therefore, my days of working for people are over. Yes.
I can definitely see that on a $400K contract.
Absolutely. It give you the motivation to keep going.
Oh yeah, for sure.
For sure.
Yes, just not even just taken away, because you don't take away 400,000, right? But one thing you take away outside of just the money is lesson, right? And it's also your mindset. Mindset is key, because if you win a $400,000 contract, it makes you want to continue going. It's like you get obsessed at that point, right?
Exactly.
So that's what happened to me. I kind of got obsessed with the federal space, and I had to learn everything I need to know about it in order for me to dominate it.
So you wouldn't necessarily say that college education is really required, or is there, I guess, a degree or a focus that you can take in college to actually dive into this a bit more?
I'll say no.
Okay.
No, not at all. Not at all. Even though I have my master's, and I do believe some parts of an education is very key to anything you do, any business. You have to be able to work in a team environment, right?
That's right.
You have to understand something about business. Even people that have never been to college or school, they understand entrepreneurship if they are a true entrepreneur.
Exactly.
So it's all about the person, really, and what they want, how they see themselves, and really their why. My thing is that with any business, I'll jump into business right away, and then if I'm not seeing any results, I'm jumping right out, right? So my thing is about the why. With government contracting, they have to understand that there's not a quick fix. There's not going to be it's not a get-rich-quick scheme.
Gotcha.
It's a business that you have to actually establish. Just like a restaurant or any other business, you have to establish that business. You have to understand who your clients are. You got to understand what they're buying, who they're buying it from, how much are they buying from this person. So you have to do that with any business.
Correct.
Government contracting is no different.
Got you.
So for someone who wants to take advantage of government contracts, how do you structure yourself to prepare yourself to be ready to take on some of those contracts?
Well, the good thing is that the government buys everything, right? So if you're selling anything right now, if you have a business right now, if you want to go into business, the same way you would go into business, right? You would think about it the same way with government contracting. The government buys everything from your socks, your shirts, your services, everything. They buy it. You just have to understand, one, how they buy. So, of course, just like setting up a business, you have to have your EIN, right? You have to have your, set up your LLC. And depending on what that looks like for you, if you have a partner or so forth, you'll set it up, you'll structure it the way the state intended for you. Then you'll also want to have your DUNS number. Even though you don't need a DUNS to register your business, it's good to have to start building supplier and business credit.
Absolutely.
Also, when it comes to your UEI number, that is a unique identifier that the government places on your entity for you to register in SAM. All of that will be done on sam.gov. So that's how you'll start that process. Registering your business to do business with the government literally takes maybe a couple of hours to get a response in maybe a few days. That is not the hurdle, right? The hurdle is understanding, one, how you're going to deliver that service. That should come long before you even register, right? You have to understand how you're going to provide value. And that value is with any business. If I want to go into a business like janitorial, what am I doing? I'm putting together my value statement of how I'm going to deliver value to this homeowner or to this business or this corporation. I have to put the same thing together for the government, right? The people, they get the illusion that they'll see a solicitation and they don't understand how they need to bid. What you need to do is the same, whatever it says in the document. See, our people, we don't like to read. We don't like to read. That's the biggest problem we have. The problem is you don't want to read. If you read it, it says right there, I need to see what is your technical approach. What approach are you going to take to perform this work? The same thing, a homeowner, a commercial. How are you planning on doing this work? You're going to tell them, right? You're going to tell the government the same thing. It is not rocket science. The problem is we think it is. Okay, that's the problem. You got to change your mindset. The problem is that, and I say they, but it's not they, but it's not, as I would say, they don't want you to. They want you to. The thing is that people they don't lack access. They lack the knowledge about the access that they do have already, right? That's the problem. The knowledge is what they're lacking, not the access. I mean, right now, you can go online and see every single federal contract opportunity that is available to you, every single one. It's public knowledge. Not only that, the federal government, I tell people this all the time, the reason it is the easiest, and when I say easiest, people always look at me and say, how could that be the easiest business to go into? It is the easiest. Tell me what business right now that you can go into where you know who your competitors are, right? You know what clients they're selling to, how much they're selling, right? And the clients, what people are they buying from? Why are they buying from them? How much are they buying from them? When they plan on buying from them again? And what was their contract value? What business are you going to go into with that? That's public knowledge at the federal level. Every single contract I have is public knowledge. You go right to usaspending.gov and it's listed right there. You know the business name, you see all the information about that. My thing is, it's public knowledge. You could go right now and open up a trucking business. You don't know what this other contractor is paying per load, right? You don't know what this contract is offering per load, right? Federal contracting, you do.
So it's complete transparency.
Transparency. And the more you get deeper into the process, the more you position yourself at the beginning of the procurement process, and that does not happen at sam.gov, but the more you position yourself at the front of the procurement process, you can determine how that procurement is presented to the public.
Pretty cool. So you spoke briefly about lessons, like in the beginning stages. Can you really illuminate our audience on one of the lessons that you learned when you first got into the business?
Yes, understanding cash flow. Cash flow is king, especially now in this economy, right? Because in this economy, the government is now going to crack down, right? With this whole Dodge program, right? With Elon Musk, they're going to crack down on efficiency. They're going to make sure that the contracts they have out there, they're being efficient with spending. They're not duplicating efforts, right? So that means that they're going to start making sure that the government doesn't take on all the risk, meaning firm fixed price contracts. firm fixed price contracts versus those cost reimbursement contracts are those that doesn't provide the government, doesn't allow the government to take on more risk. It puts the risk on the contractor. So that means the contractor is going to now have to make sure their finances are in order. I've ran into a problem with that in the beginning. In the beginning, like you get all this money, new money. You're not used to getting $100,000 a month, right? Man, $100,000 a month, you only dreamed of that, right? But then when you get it in, the first thing you do, what? I'm gonna go buy things that I didn't. Listen, the more money, the more problems. It doesn't alleviate your problems because your mindset is going to shift with your money.
Exactly.
Right? So if you're not going to stay at a $400 or $4,000 a month payment for everything when you have $100,000 a month coming in.
Play with,
Right. So my thing is that you have to make sure that finances are in order. Make sure cash flow is key. And in my case, try not to scale. And if you are scaling fast, allow your internal operations to scale with you. So the thing is, what I tell people now is they say, oh, well, why you don't train people? Well, I says, because I wanted to make sure I hit those walls first and come off of them before I start telling people how not to hit these walls, right?
There you go.
So the good thing is that I've hit so many walls that I can tell you which ones not to hit. You know what I'm saying? Don't hit that one. Don't go the other way, right? Because I'm out here doing it every day. That's the difference.
Yeah.
A lot of people, they talk about theory. I see it. I do it. I can tell you what I did yesterday, right? And what not to do, right?
Social proof.
Social proof. Exactly.
I love that.
Yeah, that's beautiful. And it eliminates the idea that, people aren't out here to gatekeep, because that's what I got from it. Is like, I'm willing to hit the wall and give you that information, where a lot of people that would be in your position will hit the wall but not give that information on how the next person should not hit it.
Right. And my problem is with that is that I've always been the person to want to tell and want to help. Because nobody, like you said, they have not helped me. Right. And I felt like if I was given that person, if somebody came to me and said, okay, don't hit that wall, right? My business would have been further along by now, right? So I want everybody to win. I want everybody to have that knowledge to access the things that are already out here for us to access. Right. There's a lot of people now, especially I take a strong point with minority women and children. I mean, minority women and minority men when it comes to this. Women, especially women with children, I have 3, right? So I understand how hard it is. When it comes to working for somebody, I feel this is just my humble opinion, I feel that I would rather work 17 to 20 hours for myself than 8 hours for someone else, right? And that's just true. How I feel about it. Yeah. And I feel like if they're given that opportunity to know that this is real, this is real, you can do it. Yeah. And you see that blueprint of showing you that you can do it, then that mindset of yours has changed. You're now creating generational wealth for your family. You're now coming out of that mindset of, I can't, and now I can. Right. Or instead of me, I need, more so of now I want, right? So that is why I do it, because you can do it. And I've seen it.
I believe it. I believe it. And that's why I've been on your line. Like, hey, Kim, I need to do it too, because I want it. So I won't lie to you though, Kim. I got online, I went to Sams.com. I was a little intimidated a little bit. I'm not gonna lie to you. It was a bit much. And it wasn't that it was intimidating as far as like I wouldn't go back and make sure I'm dotting I's and crossing T's. But initially, that first glance, it was just a lot to consume because I saw things like subcontracting, and I'm guessing that's if you don't have the funds to contract the assignment, then you can hire,
yes,
subcontractors. Right. Like, can you explain to me a little bit how that works?
So basically, well, first, there's plenty of sites you can look at outside of sam.gov to look for opportunities. Okay. But that right there is a different thing. But when it comes to subcontracting, right, subcontracting is important that you do know, right? Subcontracting should be used as, what's the word I'm looking for? It should be used as a supplement to what you offer. It shouldn't be what you offer. You get what I'm saying?
I got you.
That's the value. Is what I'm saying that you're bringing to the government. See, me with my first contract, although I had a subcontractor that did the actual work, they were the ones on site putting the HVAC units in, bringing the HVAC units, had all their resources there. My side of it was managing the entire process because with federal contracts, there's a lot of contract administration because there's a lot of bureaucratic that goes into it, right? So you have a lot of things, a lot of steps that has to occur before you even get to the site. So before there's any work that happens under a contract, there's a lot of contract administration that happens first.
A lot of red tape.
And a lot of red tape. So therefore, that project management aspect of it. So when you say if somebody need to go to school, they need to understand how they need to manage. And depending on what industry they're going in, they need to understand how they're going to coordinate efforts. How are they going to get their resources? Again, that goes into entrepreneurship. How are you going to set up your business? It's a business. It's not a get-rich-quick scheme. It's not an Amway, right? No, it's not. You're going to have to work towards it. Project management is key. My skill set, my value was bringing forth that PMP. I brought forth that project management piece to it. So the subcontracting portion of it is a company that has something that you need to fulfill that obligation. You want to bring the best value for the government. What does that look like? That looks like my strengths of project management, right? Or my skill set in this area, and the contractor's strength in another area. If they have years of experience installing HVAC units or remodeling homes, their skill set is on that end, right? My skill set is on the administration of that contract. Meaning I'm going to oversee, I'm going to make sure that they're doing what they're supposed to do. There is such thing as construction managers at risk, right? You're going to have to manage this contract, right? So my thing is, and that's on our side of my company, I had a background already in process improvement and initiative. So I built out lean construction processes that helps on the front end of the business. So on my end, when it comes to setting up your delivery, you have a lot, like I said, that goes into it. Setting it up accurately determines the outcome of the delivery on the project. So you could have a subcontractor all day, and people say, oh, yeah, I'm just going to sub it out. Yeah, okay. But if your subcontractor doesn't go through an onboarding, if your subcontractor don't know what to say on the project, right? If the client feels at all like this subcontract is the one leading the job, it puts you at risk, right? And depending on the contract type and whether or not that contract is set aside for like a woman-owned or service-disabled veteran, and this other company is not, you run the risk of something we call subcontractor limitation laws, where there's is strict, meaning that you can't basically, a certain amount of that revenue cannot go to a subcontractor. You have to keep it within your business. So there's ways that you can, work around that. But the thing is, at the end of the day, you have to perform work. I hear all this thing about the middleman. Yeah, middleman, but yes, you have to provide that value, right? You're not the middleman, you're actually the front man. You're the front man, right? And you have the back man. So the back man is your subcontractor. You're actually the front man. So if you think you're going to go into a federal contract and just get it and pass it over, no, that's called pass-through. It's illegal, right? It's illegal, very much illegal, and very much. So you don't want to do that. It's not like a product. Right, a product. You go out and you buy a product, you sell it to the government. That's okay. Services are not like that, right? You cannot do that. You have to perform under that contract. You have to, yes.
So no pass-through. You guys hear that? I hope you're paying attention to that there. If you are interested in getting into government contracting, please make sure you understand and comply with how it really works in order to fulfill that contract, to avoid any back-end issues. Because you the front man. You heard her say it now. And the contractor's going to be the back-end man.
That's
so
right.
With that, could you just kind of briefly give us an example of starting and then executing a contract, like that process of what it looks like?
Sure. So and I operate more in a construction space. Well, specialty contracting too. So, and also facilities management, janitorial, and all those things.
She does it all.
So we do anything under facility umbrella. So ground maintenance, janitorial, construction, specialty contracting, more of the remodels. I'm doing more now.
Okay.
So in my case, we will have a contract come in. Once we get the contract and we got it awarded, depending on whether or not that contract requires a bond, bonding is important that you have. If you have to have a bond, we get that, the insurances, and everything that we need to provide under the contract. It'll tell you everything that you have to provide, and the contracting officer typically tells you that too inside of your award, right? After you go through all of that, that is what we call general administration, right? Getting that all set up, making sure then your subcontracts for the contractor that you are actually going to work with, that teaming agreement, which is what you establish first. Hopefully, everybody establishes a teaming agreement, right?
Should.
So hopefully they've done that before sending I'm sure they've done that before sending the contractor out. Surely they've done that before sending the contractor out to a job site, right? Surely you have a teaming agreement in place. Surely. All right, so after that teaming agreement, it moves to the subcontract, right? You have to make sure that subcontract is in place with the contractor. Make sure all the I's are dotted, all the T's are crossed, right? And if you have, of course, internal staff that's going to be working as the project manager or coordination of this, if it's not yourself, then you have to make sure that they're abreast and everything also, that you got the contract and now they can take over their part. And hopefully, you know, if you follow my program, you'll have processes and systems in place, your tools in place that they will follow step by step by step. Okay, and that everything that it involves, depending on the type of contract it is, they may need to reach out to suppliers, depending, you know. And me, in my case, we have suppliers, right?
Okay.
We have a lot of them. If we don't have the one that's related to that job, then we'll reach out and develop a supplier relationship.
Nice.
And that is only if that is not a turnkey contractor, subcontractor, right? If, and me personally, I prefer to subcontract out the portion of labor. And a lot of the times, and it's just a lot of the times, we would buy our own material. And that is only because some of the jobs, most of the jobs, most of the contractors are going to inflate their material costs. I would. I mean, if I was a sub,
That's true.
I'll inflate mine. I mean, that's more money on the back end for me. So in order, and since I know this, right, I'll rather, and I can have suppliers, I'll rather get that supply.
Yep.
In some cases. Now, some jobs, it just makes sense, especially if it's an electrical job, it makes sense for the subcontractor to go ahead and do a turnkey on that.
Right.
And then it takes more of the risk off of you as well, right?
Yeah.
So it just depends on the job. But either way, if you don't have to have a supplier, you'll just have to make sure that, one, you're getting all of the supplies that they're going to use. And we have something called the submittal process. So that submittal process is also a part of your contract administration.
Right.
You have to submit something to the government saying, here's what we plan to use at your site. And the government has to approve that and say, okay, right? That's a part of your job as your performance under this contract.
Okay.
If you're not doing that and your sub is doing all of this work, then you're deemed, what is your role as the prime contractor, right?
Got you.
You have to do that. So submittals, making sure that you're getting all the prep work. If there's any on-site resources, porta potties, dumpsters, all those things that has to happen. If that is not coordinated with the sub directly and they're doing it under their contract, then you're also, and your people are doing that too. So it's basically setting it up. Just like if you have somebody coming to do work at your home, right?
Yep.
You're coordinating everything that the contractor is not bringing with them.
Got you.
If your contractor is not, you're moving out your house and you have to be the one to get the pod, you'll get the pod,
Yep.
right? You have to do the same exact thing under a federal contract.
Got you.
But there's specific steps depending on the industry and depending on the type of contract it is. There are particular steps that you will use and some you will not use. And there's also documents that are associated with those steps.
Okay.
And anyone that knows project management will know there's certain things that have to happen. You know, the stakeholder register and all these other things,
Okay.
charter. So these things are, it's the same in the federal contracting space.
Got you. Man, it's a lot of information.
But one thing I do want to mention to people, when I mentioned at the very beginning about finances and cash flow, understanding how to negotiate is key. Now, you may not have to have a college degree, but you should take a course on negotiation, right? I recommend that.
Yeah.
Or get a book, you know, how to negotiate or something. Get a book. I actually had a book, was The Art of Negotiation.
Yep.
I've read that. The Art of Negotiation is a very good book because my thing is you have to understand how to negotiate. Negotiation is going to be key because you're going to have to negotiate your way throughout all the contracts. You're going to have to negotiate with your suppliers in order to get your net 30 terms. You're going to have to negotiate with your subcontractors to get net 30 terms because you want to, the way to make money in this business is to keep as much cash in your business as possible. That means you're not paying them until you're paid. You get what I'm saying?
Yep.
So therefore, that negotiation is what you will get into. But that starts from building relationships with them.
Got you.
And I always tell people, as part of my program, as part of my process, I teach you how to do that before you even start bidding. Okay? There's no reason right now today, there's nothing that says right now today that you cannot call and start building relationships with your subcontractors. You do not have to wait for an opportunity to do that. Right?
It's all
There's
about
nothing.
the desire. Yeah.
Desire.
Yeah.
I've actually had a program that I put in place where I was setting up, and that's a part of my program, so I'm not going to tell all of it. But basically, I've helped my team, and we set up in every state 2 to 3 trade contractors per contract, per type of trade. You set up 2 relationships with them. They went through a whole checklist and stages and everything, and executing them, basically saying it's a blanket teaming agreement now.
Yep.
When we get a job, we bring it to you. You take this. Here are our terms. Do you agree? Up front. So therefore, we're not playing the back and forth.
Right.
my goal and every contractor's goal is one, to provide value. What is valuable to a government contractor, or I mean a government agency who's trying to go ahead now and have a new building installed? It is time, right? Time is really important, right? How soon can this contractor mobilize?
Yeah.
That's
That
the
part.
differentiator,
Yeah.
right? The differentiator is how soon can you mobilize on our contract, right? You mobilize quicker when you have your resources established, right? So those are some of the things I add to my program.
Okay.
Because like I said, I do it every day. So I know what things are good and what things are not.
Okay. Awesome.
And when you have everything lined up, you prioritizing efficiency on both ends.
Right,
I like that.
right.
And now I know, going through the bio, you are with the SBA 8A program. And I
Yes.
know there's other set aside programs as well. Is there any preference, any particular reason why you chose the program that you're in over
question.
maybe like Hub Zone or SDVOSB?
Well, it's not. I wish it was a preference. I
Okay.
mean, but no, it's not a preference. Unfortunately, it's what you qualify for,
Okay,
right?
got you.
So the 8A is very different from the others, right?
Okay.
The 8A is very different. The hub zone, right? You have to be qualified. Your business has to be within a hub zone radius, right? And there's other things too that you have to check off those boxes with your personnel in order to make sure you're a hub zone. I don't qualify for that because I'm not in the hub zone.
Okay.
Service disabled veteran, same thing. You have to be a veteran and service disabled, and you have to have your letter showing that you have some percentage of service disabled veteran
Got you.
status. You have
Okay.
to be a service disabled veteran in order to qualify for that.
Got you.
Women-owned small business, I obviously qualify for that one. So I have a women-owned small business certification through the SBA, and then 8A is something that you have to qualify for as well.
Okay.
And businesses, I usually tell businesses, if they're coming into this program and they're starting their business with the federal contracting space, don't go for your 8A. That doesn't, I've seen a lot of businesses do that. And I tell people, don't do that, right? They say, oh, well, I need to get my 8A. Like, have you spoken to any contracting officer yet? Have you won any contracts yet?
Right.
This 8A program is something that is so unique and so good, but it only gives you 9 years in this program. You have the first 4 years is a business development phase. In that phase, you want to come in, you want to hit the 8A and start running.
Yeah.
You want to already be established. You don't want past performance to be an issue. You don't want people to, okay, who's this person? What did they do? Or, you know, you don't want that. If you have the 8A is a program where contracting officers can sole source you up to 4.5 million now, 4.5 million. Wow. They can write, meaning that you don't have to go through and compete with other contractors.
Right.
They can sole source. If it's under 4.5 million, then you could go ahead and get it sole source.
Wow.
Wouldn't it help if you have relationships established?
Man,
Valuable
tremendously.
resource there.
Right. Would you rather wait 5 years to get these relationships established, and then now you only got 4 years to cap on this money?
Yeah, that's crazy.
Companies literally can go from 100,000 to 50 million in that 9-year period if they work and even more than that. I've seen more than that if they work the program right. Because think about it, 4.5 million sole sourced. I had more than 20 contracts in 1 year. Imagine if they were all 4.5 million. I'm just saying.
Right.
I'm just saying. Listen, I would love that.
So I come on the pod, but it's gonna cost you.
Listen, I'm just saying, right? But you can scale very quickly with
This
the 8A
information
program.
is still costing.
No,
But
facts.
you can definitely, 8A program, I'm telling you, is very, very, very good. Even now, they say, oh, you know, so many changes are going to come with the administration. There are going to be small policy changes. But one thing I realize here now is that there's not going to change much. They can't, because right now, out of, I say 2023, about 80, I think it was like 800 billion was in total contract funds. About 28% of that was for set aside.
Got you.
So that makes up a huge chunk just for set asides, the 28%. They're not getting rid of that. They're not getting rid of the program. So there might be some changes when it comes to people trying to recertify and stuff, but it won't change significantly to where, you know, I don't think it would change significantly.
Okay.
When you spoke on resources and relationships, my question to you is, I know starting out in government contracts, you did that for you, but you're leveraging what you know to help other people along the way. What inspired that endeavor for you?
I think the fact that I went through it, and me, I've always been that person, like, listen, I don't mind sharing information, because guess what? Especially in this industry, there's so much money to go around.
Got you.
I mean, you working and making as much money as you can in this industry will not hurt my pockets whatsoever.
Right.
It's not going to impact my family, but what it will do is make me feel good. It will make me feel good about helping another person to get the access to the information that I already know that's there for them to get access to.
Amazing.
And I love helping people. Unfortunately, I can't help for free anymore because my time is so limited now. Before I was helping people for free. I've helped a lot of people for free.
Right.
It's just that my time has now put me in a position to where I can't do that.
Think I missed it?
We missed the free job.
I am going to give a free mastermind soon, though. I will have a free mastermind, which will be one day, and I'll give a free mastermind to folks to kind of get them understanding a little bit about.
Make sure y'all stay in tune.
Contracts.
Miss Kim, she giving out jewels for y'all.
Yes.
Yeah.
Stay in tune.
And one last question that I have, particularly for government contracts, and I want to get us into something else here. With the bidding, how can I make my proposal stand out against the other competitors that are up against me?
That's a good question. That would be highlighting the value that you bring, right? And the good thing about it, again, since this is public knowledge, right? You understand what competitors are likely to go after the same type of job that you go after, right? You can actually do research on that to see what type of competitors in my area, my neighborhood, will be likely go after this type of contract. And if it's a recompete or a contract that this agency had purchased before, you can see what their incumbent contractor, who they were. Go to their website. What do they provide as a service? How many contracts have they provided? Can I find any other research online about this company, right?
Okay.
And then you can make yourself highlight yourself a little bit more.
Got you. Okay. And then being in my last one, because this is it for me. I got one more question because I love small businesses and, women's small business industry that you're in. What, I guess my question would be, how do small businesses match up against those other bigger companies that are in this government contract spacing? Like, what do I need to do in that aspect of having a small business to stand out? Is it also value as well of what I'm bringing?
Well,
in that
yes,
small
because
business?
here's one thing I realized: the large businesses don't have access to the small business contracts, and I mean, I think it's about 80% of the funding right now. Small business contracts are huge. Large companies and corporations, they want to do business with small businesses. They want to, right? They want to so bad to where the SBA have something called the Mentor Protege program, where you can get with a mentor and a mentor company, and they will have access to the small business contracts. So their company or their entity will look like the size of yours, and your company will look like the size and strength of theirs, right? Oh, wow. Yes, it's the small Mentor Protege, the Mentor Protege program. They also have a joint venture program as well. So it's always good to partner up. That's the way you scale in this business. I'm actually in the process now of looking for mentors as well. So, and that's because, one, I can bring that part of it to get the contracts. But some contracts, of course, at my magnitude, I want to get to higher dollar contracts. Right. So that means I'm going to need a big brother, big sister company that's going to back me. So therefore, and at the same time, I'll be able to bring revenue their way that they wouldn't get otherwise.
So you guys are exchanging leverage.
Right, exchanging leverage. And it's even better when you have set-asides that they don't have, such as 8A. Like there's a lot of big 8A contractors that are now graduating that industry. They're graduating out of their 9 years. That means that all the 8A contractors are no longer, all of the 8A contracts are no longer on their roster. They can't get it. But they can get it with small businesses, right, that are under that 8A program.
So, guys, I hope you heard that. Utilize these larger companies for their resources. Yes. Basically, what Kim is saying is they're giving you the opportunity to use their organization as the back office to your business to help, build up your foundation and give you more opportunities at winning contracts as a small business.
Yes, absolutely. And they have certain things that they have to have, especially under that mentor-protege relationship that you have. They have to either offer financing, they have a certain amount of hours of financial support, a certain amount of hours of business development or marketing support. Even when it comes to bonding, they may have to, give you their bonding capacity. So those are things that they have to have, and that's within that mentor-protege agreement.
That's beautiful. Now, with us being in Women's History Month, I definitely want to ask you, what does women history mean to you now at this point of the world that we're in? being a Black, woman in business and thriving, how does this help shape you in the direction that you choose to continue to go in and the mentorship that you want to provide other young ladies who want to follow after?
Right. My thing is not allowing anyone to put the chokehold on us when it comes to what we can and cannot do, right? Not allowing anyone to basically tell you what you can and cannot do. You set the direction for your life. You set the direction for what you want it to look like, right? There's the only person that is the biggest, I would say, downer or the biggest supporter is you, right?
Sure.
You are your biggest supporter.
Yeah.
And you could be the only one too to put you down, right? So at the end of the day, it's what you believe, right?
Yeah,
and me, as I think always women is that, and that's the reason why I try to show them, is because sometimes you don't see it until somebody else can grab your hand and walk you through it. And I didn't have that, right? I had to fight for it. And the only reason I had that fight in me is because of how I grew up. I grew up in a neighborhood where I was like, listen, I was a hustler already from a young age.
Right.
My kids don't have to experience that.
Right.
But at the same time, that's what got me to going forward. A lot of people didn't have that. So I want to be that person to pull them up. And as far as, like I said, as far as Black History Month and as far as Women Month, is basically there's going to be a lot of people that's not going to be happy with people that sound and look like you. It's okay. But the more you know, the more education you have, and education meaning the more you equip yourself with the knowledge, they can't do anything about it.
That's a word.
They can't do anything about it.
It is.
That's so empowering.
Don't worry about sitting at the table. Worry about becoming the table. That is key.
It is.
That's key. Every room I walk into, I'm the table.
Yeah. And you come join me.
At your table.
Right. I set the president here and you guys bring the chairs and come talk to me. I love it. That's good.
Yes.
And I hope a lot of young women out here, who are inspiring to do great things, continue to push forward. I understand we're definitely in the economy and quite frankly, some feel we're have an administrative group of folks who put that stranglehold on your voice and still make you feel like, you're oppressed, which in a lot of situations we are. But we definitely appreciate you for coming on, Kim, shedding this information. This is very valuable that I think a lot of our audience members will be able to use.
Oh, anytime.
So
I'm happy. I'm happy that you invited me. Thank you.
Yes, and I'm excited because I will be utilizing this information.
Yes, we will. Yes, we will.
So, Kim, if you have any place for our people to come find you, whether that's Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, X, your website, please shout that out, your program that you got going on. Let our people know where they can find you.
Yes, well, you can go to iamkimkid.com for the website. Bear with us, it's just now starting. My company website is fillmorecontracts.com. I also have a new Twitter. I'm actually a new Twitter. You're going to have to find it. I'm sorry, I don't know that by heart. However, the Instagram is iamkim.kidd, kid.
Beautiful. And please make sure, you guys tap in, get with this program, this mentorship program that she has starting up here, because obviously you've gotten a lot of information. She knows what she's talking about. She's been in the industry for over 25 years, has made a significant amount of winning contracts under her belt. So what other better person to get this tutelage and information from than Kim Kidd herself?
Absolutely. Well, if you like what you heard, make sure you like, subscribe, comment, and follow us at DMP on
Instagram,
TikTok. We're gonna get an X page up.
And we're live every Monday. Podcast Monday, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on YouTube. We'll see you soon. Happy Women's History Month. Peace out.
That was a good episode, Kim. That was really good.